In just 4 years, Creedence Clearwater Revival, CCR, created 9 top 10 hits and made Fantasy Records tens of millions of dollars. But in 1980, their leader John Fogerty made a shocking decision. He signed away his rights to every penny from those songs. Fantasy Records celebrated their victory, believing they had won for good. But what they didn't realize was that Fogerty was about to spend the next 43 years plotting the ultimate revenge against the music industry. In 1968, 4 high school friends from El Cerrito, California, were on the verge of something big. John Fogerty, his brother Tom, Stu Cook, and Doug Clifford transformed from a struggling garage band into Creedence Clearwater Revival, CCR, a group that would redefine rock music. While the music scene was dominated by psychedelic rock and flower power, CCR stood out. John Fogerty's distinct voice and raw songwriting created a powerful mix of rock, country, and blues that transported listeners to the American South, despite the band being from the San Francisco Bay Area. Their breakthrough hit, Susie Q, put them on the map, but what followed was extraordinary. Between 1968 and 1972, CCR released 7 albums, produced 9 top 10 singles, and dominated the airwaves with hits like Proud Mary, Bad Moon Rising, and Fortunate Son. Fantasy Records was raking in $100,000 a month from Proud Mary alone. CCR's music became the anthem of a generation, from Vietnam War protests to small-town America. But behind the scenes, CCR's success came at a devastating cost, one that would haunt John Fogerty for decades. The Devil's Bargain, a contract that changed everything. In 1968, John Fogerty unknowingly signed away his future. His contract with Fantasy Records seemed standard at the time, but the fine print had a brutal catch. Fantasy owned the master recordings and publishing rights to all of CCR's music. The band would receive just half the standard royalty rate, 9 cents per album instead of the industry's 18 to 25 cents. They had to deliver 180 songs in 5 years, an insane demand for any band. The real villain? Fantasy Records owner, Saul Zaentz. Using just $1 million of borrowed money, he gained control over a band that would soon generate over $100 million in revenue. Zaentz undermined Fogerty's creative control, forcing decisions that went against the band's interests. As tensions rose, Tom Fogerty left in 1971, and CCR began to crumble. By 1980, John Fogerty was desperate. He saw only one way out, a decision that would cost him everything. In a desperate attempt to escape Fantasy Records, Fogerty made a stunning move in 1980. He signed away his rights to every CCR song he had ever written. For the next 25 years, he wouldn't earn a penny from the music he created, while Fantasy Records made millions off his work. This wasn't just about money, it was about revenge. In 1985, John Fogerty made a comeback with his solo album, Centerfield. But he made a bold choice. He refused to play any CCR songs on tour. This wasn't just a business decision. It was personal. Fans were disappointed. They came to his shows expecting to hear classics. Radio stations hesitated to support him without CCR hits. Fogerty lost an estimated $50 million, including $30 million in touring revenue and $20 million in licensing deals. Meanwhile, Fantasy Records continued making over $100 million from CCR's catalog. But Fogerty didn't back down. He was waiting for the perfect moment to strike back. In 1985, Fantasy Records sued Fogerty for something unprecedented. They accused him of copying himself. The claim? His new solo hit, The Old Man Down the Road, sounded too similar to CCR's Run Through the Jungle, a song he wrote. Fantasy owned the rights to Run Through the Jungle and claimed that Fogerty was infringing on his own music. But Fogerty had a trick up his sleeve. He brought his guitar to the courtroom. In a historic moment, he played both songs for the jury, breaking down their differences in melody, chord progression, and structure. The jury sided with Fogerty, ruling that he couldn't be sued for sounding like himself. This case set a new legal precedent in the music industry. However, his legal battles weren't over yet. He had spent $1 million defending himself, and now he wanted that money back. Fogerty took his fight to the Supreme Court in 1993. His argument? If an artist successfully defends against a false copyright claim, they should get their legal fees covered. The music industry fought back, fearing it would empower more artists to challenge record labels. But in a stunning 9-0 ruling, the Supreme Court sided with Fogerty. For the first time, musicians had legal protection against predatory lawsuits. But despite winning in court, Fogerty still didn't own his songs. That battle was yet to come. By 2004, John Fogerty had won every legal fight, but Fantasy Records still controlled CCR's music. Then, everything changed. Legendary TV producer Norman Lear bought Fantasy Records. Lear made Fogerty an offer no one expected. Full artist royalties restored. Creative control over how CCR's music was used. The chance to finally reclaim his legacy. For the first time, Fogerty could perform his songs again without feeling betrayed. He released a new album, The Long Road Home, in 2005, mixing CCR classics with his solo work. It went gold, proving his fans had never forgotten him. In January 2023, John Fogerty made a shocking power move. He bought back the publishing rights to his CCR songs. The price? An estimated $120 million. At 77 years old, he made one of the biggest bets in music history, wagering on the future value of his songs. CCR's catalog still earns about $25 million a year, and with Fogerty now in control, he can decide how his songs are used, from movies to commercials to streaming. For 43 years, John Fogerty fought against a system designed to crush artists. He lost millions, endured decades of legal battles, and refused to surrender. Now, after all these years, the man who wrote Proud Mary and Fortunate Son finally owns his musical legacy. In the end, Fogerty didn't just beat Fantasy Records. He beat the entire music industry at its own game. John Fogerty's decades-long fight against the music industry is one of the most inspiring comebacks in rock history. From signing away his songs in 1980 to buying them back in 2023, he proved that even the biggest industry giants can be beaten. His story is a warning to young musicians and a lesson in perseverance. And that's what makes rock and roll legendary. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of rock's greatest underdog stories, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Rock Fame Diaries for more stories behind the legends of music. Rock on, and we'll see you in the next video.